My name is Donald Mowry, and the full title of the course is Human Rights and Global Justice. It's a Social Work 290 course. And then, since this is a human rights class, I would ask them about, do they feel like their rights are being respected in their area, their city, their country? And if not, which groups and whose rights are not being valued and protected? And because social workers often work with people who don't have access to human rights, or they're vulnerable, or they're oppressed, or for example, they're because of their gender, they make 77 cents on the dollar compared to men. Those kinds of issues. And social workers, by their code of ethics and their professional training, are given the task of advocating for those groups and trying to achieve social justice for them. It's a little bit different application. What we're doing here is we're trying to find out about the other person. So it's not like a conversation. We're going to be quiet when you're in the role of being the one who instigated the one-to-one. You're trying to find out. You might ask questions, but your focus is really on the other person. They were given basically an identity of someone in the world. And the identity is based on the premise that if we reduce the whole population of the globe to 100 people, what would it look like? How many people from Africa, how many people that are female, male. Then they talk about their lives and they try to set the context in terms of what human rights look like in their living environment, in that context.
So I found it really cool when I found, even with my global villager, when I can connect my Hmong heritage to things that were similar to Zimbabwean beliefs, or the way they got married, they had a bride price, and that was really similar. And then finding how different it was from my American upbringing, and I was like, huh, that's cool. But how there was a disconnect in one area, but then I connected this together.
It's a technique that social workers practice, so it's something that they'll eventually be doing more of, especially when they do community development and community organizing. It's called one-on-one. And so I want them to then do one-on-ones with each other in kind of a speed dating kind of exercise. So they'll have so many minutes to interview one person, and they'll switch, and then they'll move on to another pairing. So there'll be a brief lecture about the technique, and then they'll be sharing that exercise of their selves as a global villager. But you're looking for connections this person has a real passion for fighting human sex trafficking. Well, I know this other group that's working on it. Maybe we'll get them connected, or invite them, or bring them together. I'd love to have them take away a real understanding of human rights and why it's important, and why there has been so much attention to a Universal Declaration and all the different covenants and treaties, and then to learn how to become advocates for others who either have lost their human rights or are at risk of losing their human rights, and trying to change and move the whole of society and the whole of the world towards more of a human rights culture. And I'd love it if they get passionate about it, and I'm sure that some of them will go on to change things that'll benefit all of us, and even locally, maybe even nationally, and who knows, maybe even globally.